This thing is robbing us of our energy, our health, our wealth, time with our family, all of the things that we could be contributing to the world in order to have a good impact. Social media scrolling, ladies and gentlemen, is harvesting our energy. In the social media mind control program video, I mentioned energy harvesting. And I know it sounds wild, right? It's like a crazy concept, but it is a theory that in the bigger picture that I am putting together, little bit at a time. I'm not sure what is going on with all of the information that we give this apparatus. Are we building some bigger thing that is going to then control us? That's kind of some tinfoil hat stuff that I've been working on, but on a more practical level, it's abundantly clear to me that when you're scrolling, you are not building. When you're scrolling, you're not spending time with family. When you're scrolling, you are diminished in your levels of energy that you then could later actually put into these things, to building real things in the real world, right? So this in and of itself is concerning, right? Because we're all scrolling, not all the time, but I see people scrolling all the time. And I know for me personally, the reason I'm making this video is today I was scrolling and I realized I hadn't made a video for the channel because we were gone for a couple days. And so, but I'm trying to be consistent here, right? And it just hit me. I was like, dude, you need to make a video about this. This is the thing, because you're scrolling and you want information. And if you're like me, you want to know the truth. You want to know information. I have that trait. I want to ask questions. I don't think it's necessarily a bad trait to ask questions, want to know what's really going on behind the scenes. You may be very similar, but that trait can be weaponized by an apparatus like the social media, system, all of it, between Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, X, Instagram. There's so many different, obviously, iterations of the social media thing. I don't use half of those, but I'm on YouTube, and I've got on Facebook recently because I was trying to connect with some people, and then that has not been a fruitful thing for my life because, it has been in the connections with people, but it hasn't been in the sense that it can pull you in. It can really just pull you in, and then you get stuck, looking at all these different things, and maybe even get pulled into arguments and all this. Your energy is basically being taken. And this is energy that could be being used somewhere else for a better purpose, right? I'm trying to build this channel to be good food for thought, so that every day if you watch a video on this channel, that you go away, you think about things in a way that, it could be more productive, that could be better. And of course, sometimes we're just going to talk about things because they're interesting, right? Obviously. But for the most part, I want to build something that's going to have a positive impact some way, shape, or form, right? You can't do that while you're scrolling. You know what I mean? You can't read a book while you're scrolling. Reading books is one of the best things that you can do. And it's impacted my life in such a good way, reading books, right? Reading different books from different people, reading about people's lives, their mistakes, their experiences, all of these things can be very enriching to our lives. It's part of the wealth that we create. Wealth is not just money, right? It's not just money. Obviously, to me, it's like your connections with your family, the things that you can provide. When you read books, you have an appreciation for the depth of things in life, right? Some of the better ways of looking at things that you never even thought about, right? And this can inspire you, and then you can then go in your life and you'll see the results of this. But you can't do that while you're scrolling. You can't do that while you're caught up in this social media thing. Anytime something big happens and there's all this information coming out, like in the last couple weeks, but anytime you have so much information coming your way, you cannot process it all. That's why I made the video about stepping away from social media, because it's important. Not because we don't want to know the truth, not because we don't want to consider things that we've been told to believe as to whether that's true or not, because we should question things. But if you're just going to absorb all of this information, sometimes it can be it can be too much. It can be too much information. And how are you going to be able to actually process it all if you're constantly getting new information and you never get a break, right? I think this is by design. This is keeping people in a state of confusion, a state of fear, a state of panic, different things for different people because people process things differently. But if you're constantly in these different states of mind, you can't use discernment the way you could if you just step back. You step back, you have to take time, go for a walk, work out, like I said, read some books, do some different things, right? And then come back to the information at the doses that you can handle. And then, we can consider these things, but you can't even consider it when it's just constant bombardment. And that's what the scrolling is, the instant scrolling. And I'm talking about information because that's usually what I'm seeking out. But I mean, just forget about the fact that a lot of the things that people scroll is not just information. It's a lot of garbage too. And it's a lot of things that can create, like I said, these negative emotions, and it can turn curiosity into anger very quickly. And keep people outraged, keep people just in this constant state of, reacting to things instead of being able to use discernment, relax, work on the things that matter in your life first, and then build from there, right? There's a lot of bigger picture stuff going on. It's very important to the world, but then again, you have to be able to play on your own level. You have to be able to live your own life and do things that are important in your immediate sphere of influence, I guess you could say, right? And so a lot of the stuff that we see when we're scrolling has nothing to do with that. It just completely takes our energy away. So is it harvesting our energy? In a way. And honestly, I do think that we are somehow building a bigger apparatus. We built these algorithms around ourselves about the things that we're interested in, but somehow this could also be used to build a bigger apparatus, kind of a prison maybe, if you want to call it that, in the social media format. And that's a whole nother conversation for another video. But guys, I just wanted to put this food for thought out there. Let me know what you think about it, and I'll catch you on the next one. I'm out.